And today we're meeting on we're having an economic briefing here with the team. I sent to Congress my funding priorities for the appropriations process, including two key public health initiatives that I'm pushing. First is like DARPA in the Defense Department, which was designed to develop and has developed breakthroughs to protect us and enhance our physical safety. I'm proposing a $6.5 billion appropriation for what we call ARPA-H, which is focused on focused on health issues. This is a pioneer breakthrough that we hope we can detect and treat and prevent diseases like Alzheimer's and diabetes and give us a chance to end cancer as we know it, because we'll focus exclusively on those items. And secondly, I'm proposing a historic funding increase of 50% of $4 billion to end the opioid crisis, which still ravages the country and has taken so many lives over the last 2 years. Resources of both the states and the tribes for treatment as well as prevention. It also includes the single largest funding increase ever for Title I schools for disadvantaged schools, to lift up the millions of children in low-income families, and it'll put them in a position where all the data is, I've talked a lot about this, the data shows that it puts a child from a household that is a lower income household in a position, if they start school, not daycare, but school at 3 and 4 years old, there's overwhelming evidence that they were able to compete all the way through high school and beyond. And so it doubles the funding as well for VAWA services, including resources to end the rape kit backlog. We've been working this for a long, long time, and we still have a backlog in the rape kit. And the point is, the number of women who have been raped and the person has not been found or convicted is because they're sitting in jail. The average rapist rapes about 6 times. And so out there, we want to make sure we go through this backlog and find out, to bring some certitude for the woman saying, no, it was true. That's the man. He did it. And it changes the whole perspective, all the hearings we held on that. And also, there makes major investments in the fight against climate change. And there's issues that are personal to millions of Americans in the area of VAWA, because I get that asked and we get spoken to by everyone from mayors and governors, local officials of both parties. So I look forward to working with Congress to advance these and other priorities. I think we're going to be able to get, I'm hoping we'll have some bipartisan support across the board. I've already spoken to some of my Republican colleagues about dealing with the infrastructure legislation we have up there, as well as other budget items. So we're going to work on seeing if we can get some bipartisan across the board here, but that's what we're about to do now. We're going to talk about our economic priorities and we get the brief from the team here. Thank you all for coming.
Hi guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded progressive media. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday wonderful afternoon. I'm so excited, guys. Why am I excited? Content. I got some sick content, guys. Teaming up with none other than friend of the show, Dan, Taxation Steph Behrman. He's a gubernatorial candidate. We're going to talk about a number of things, political issues of the day. He's got an idea about libertarian healthcare. He said it wasn't a trick, okay? So I'm going to let him explain that to you. But as always, guys, we're going to bring you all of the wonderful perspectives without any spin, without any mainstream media talking points, any narratives, any CIA mishigas, no interfering with our elections, no undermining our democracy here at Tommy Nation Politics. So that means, guys, what I really need from y'all is maybe if y'all could make sure you hit the notifications. Don't forget that, so you can get some of my videos. So I can always bring you the free thinking content. And also, guys, we do need, of course, resources. So if you want to donate to independent media, make sure you go to PayPal or Cash App, Tommy Nation Politics, one word, capital T, capital N, and capital P. This is your free-thinking, innovative, and progressive, open-minded media. So without further ado, guys, let's just get to the main meats of the situation, if you will. Let's get right down to the show today, because I'm super excited about what's about to go down. Are you? I know I am. Okay, what's first on the docket? Let's see. Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics. One song, glory. One song before I go. Glory. One song to leave behind. Find. One song, one last refrain. Glory from the pre-boy frontman. Wasted opportunity. One song had the whole at his feet. Glory in the eyes of a young girl. A young girl. Find glory beyond the cheap-colored lights. One song before the sun sets. Glory on another empty life. Time flies. Time This is your free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded, progressive, independent news media. Tommy Nation Politics. Get informed. Get free thought. What's going on, friends? It's Saturday. And we have the political news for you. But more than that, guys, more than political news, more than conventional wisdom, more than social norms, what we have for you today is true, honest to God, good old American fellowship. Out of the many, like I always talk about, guys, e pluribus unum, out of the many working for the common good. So in my world, I have friends from all over the political spectrum. Communists, socialists, conservatives, libertarians. We always seem to, at the end of the day, we always seem to agree on mostly, what we want to see achieved, the common good. But it's just how we get there. Conservatives are very wary of, big government getting us there. Libertarians, of course, are the same way. As a progressive, I believe that a government can work well if it works for the people. Just like our Constitution, the preamble states, we the people of the United States, if we establish justice, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and austerity, then I believe that we can have a government that works for all of us and not few. However, this is not something that is going on right now. As you know, the 1% own more, the bottom 90% combined. We have polarization.
I save so much time with Blender Master.
Nobody cares. Something always happens with the videos, guys. So, we have 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. We have the politicians as the puppets of the rich, funneling the wealth to the donors. We have middlemen in health insurance companies, middlemen in the law enforcement. The checks and balances are skewed. Money in politics is corrupted. Absolutely corrupted. Absolutely. So in this present moment, it's hard to have a government that works for all of us with all of these issues stemming from two problems, the Republicans and the Democrats. So with that in mind, I wanted to segue into the person, one of my dear friends who I really have been growing to respect a lot more. Why? Because he never backs down. He always wants to have a conversation. And he literally has principles and values. He stands for them. So it's really not hard. It's really hard, even though I disagree sometimes with him. I find a lot of common ground with Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, Dan Taxation and Behrman. Dan, welcome to Tommy Nation Politics. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to Tommy Nation Politics, bro.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How's your Saturday? I saw you down some beers. Beers
I'm up here on the roof drinking a few beers because it is my Saturday. I'm enjoying the view. The beach is right here.
Yeah, you should.
And I just realized, wow, this camera really makes my face look fat. But maybe it's all these beers I've been drinking.
That's why I drink vodka, bro. Vodka and Cabernet. So,
man.
Dan. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Good. What were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say thanks for having me back on. I'm always happy when you call. We always got something cool to talk about.
Well, we always have a conversation, and I feel like it goes somewhere, and it's not at the end of the conversation. We're not angry, which is what happens with. You know what's funny, Dan, is that I was promoting the conversation here today about how I'm just like I'm having Dan. He's a libertarian. And you believe in the Libertarian Party, the libertarian principles, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about libertarian principles in a bit. But you have problems with them. You have disagreements with them. You're an open-minded, free-thinking person.
Oh yeah.
And so I respect that. But listen, Dan. I was sharing and promoting our conversation. Did you see? Literally, people told me that I was betraying the progressive movement. That I was a toady of Ron Paul.
Do they know me? Or just because of the taxation and stuff?
This is the thing with half the country, bro, is that they don't need to know anything. They
Right.
literally, it's a buzzword, it's a brand name, and there you have it. The rest is history. The rest is history, bro. It's a disappointing thing. And literally,
It is.
I'm like, are you gonna even like listen to like what I'm gonna say? No. You're gonna watch. You're gonna see the headline of my video, and you're gonna see taxation of Steph Behrman, and you're gonna form your own conclusion. And then they smear me, bro. It's ridiculous.
Well,
But go ahead. Go ahead.
I like how you open up the show. You said you have people on from like all different the entire spectrum of the political spectrum,
Right.
which is great because I mean I kind of do the same thing. I've had communists and socialists on my show, and it's really interesting because like when you take the approach, you like the first thing you do is you throw out the bullshit about like, oh, this guy's a communist and I'm not supposed to like him. And then you start having conversations about like actual like principles and what are you trying to achieve. Like a lot of these guys, we actually have a lot in common. And, you know, exactly like you said, it's like at the end of the day, we want happy lives. We don't want to be in debt. We don't want to be controlled by government. We want to be able to live happy lives and not spend all day working in a factory, you know, and that kind of stuff. And it's like, we all want the same thing. And exactly like you said, we all have different ways of trying to achieve that. And I think that's really what's important is trying to have a civil discussion about these things because, you know, whether you come from the left or the right, there's always some like creepy politician who's telling you like, oh yeah, we're going to do this and it's going to work. And it's like, if you just take that at face value that it's going to work, you're going to get misled. You're going to be like, you know, sheep with the wool over your eyes. You have to really look at these things and say, who are these people? Why are they telling me this? And is this really something that's going to work? Do they really want it to work? Or are they, you know, trying to get do they have some different motives to get me to support this so that they can, you know, get rich quick and be, you know, the oligarchs? Oh shit. What happened? I can't hear you.
Thank you. This is why I need guests on my show. So
I thought it was me.
no, I'm a smoker, so sometimes I do the breathe heavy shit, like the Virginia slams, extra ultra lights. So I've just been trying to, because like I can hear that shit on my podcasts, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to stop smoking. So instead of stop smoking, what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic. So whatever happens,
Okay.
it's great. See, that's how I don't, you know, I blame things, and I don't take care of my own behavior. Is that I just literally find a better way, or a way that I don't know. But listen, so I lay out this thing, the Libertarian Party. I don't understand why people hate you so much. They believe that you're Ayn Rand. You want to kill us all with tainted alcohol, and you want to push us off a cliff. I don't understand that narrative because there's two parties that have been in charge for most of our entire existence, and they have literally killed more people. They have destroyed more lives than any libertarian in the world, bro. Yet they're so afraid of you and Ayn Rand and Rand Paul. And like, I mean, sometimes I disagree with Rand Paul. He's just like, it's the earmarks, the spending. I'm like, I believe in some spending. But anyway, like, do I think that you're the problem? These people legitimately think that y'all are problems, even though you don't even hold elected offices. They vote for Republicans and Democrats. Do you see the cognitive dissonance? What's with that, bro?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
It's nuts. Well, and that's, you know, I get that all the time, Ayn Rand, and I'm like, I read like the first few pages of Atlas Shrugged, and I was like, this is garbage. Sorry. I'm not a huge Ayn Rand fan. But you know, yeah, all these things come up. And actually somebody came at me the other day on my YouTube channel with all these accusations. Oh, you claim to be a libertarian, but you support more border spending. And I'm like, what? And he posted a link. There's this site, what is it? You answer a bunch of political questions and they tell you who you most I side with, right? And I've had some problems where they actually, if you go to my profile, I've answered the questions, but they show different answers. So
Well, how does that happen?
I don't know. I think it's a bug in their website. I think it's just like a small organization. Like, I mean, it's a great platform, and like it's really widespread, and like a lot of people use it. A lot of people know about it. But I think it's still a really small organization, and they've got bugs that aren't quite worked out yet. So And it doesn't allow me. I had this problem throughout my entire presidential campaign, just trying to get on there. And then once I was on, trying to get the answers updated correctly. Because actually, if I go into my my profile and I edit those answers, it shows different answers than it shows on the front of the website. So it's like it's a bug or something. I don't know.
It's not the Russians. They're not interfering with your elections and undermining your democracy. It could be. It could be. I mean, now that I think about it, when I emailed the guy, I do remember his English was a little bit off, a little bit sus. Could be Russian. You know what's funny is hilarious. Like, you know, it's funny because like, so the main differences which I've learned between you guys and the Republicans is the fact that whenever you guys say things like that, you're trying to be funny, but the Republicans, on the other hand, are not. Yeah. Be careful when you say you guys, because I'm only loosely a libertarian. Well, I mean the right wing. But you're right. I should have been more specific. I wouldn't call myself right either. In fact, I think the right has been really pissed off at me because I've been talking to so many lefties, and like I think my language has almost kind of been skewing in that direction because I've been trying to like build a bridge between the left and the Libertarian Party, because the Libertarians are typically presumed to be more right because they want lower taxes, less government, even though the right doesn't really want that at all. If you look at the border and the military that they support. But yeah, so typically like they think libertarians are right. And so, you know, and it's interesting, right? Because a lot of the accusations about libertarians are true when you look at just like kind of the general population. So like, you know, why do you hate the poor, right? Like everyone thinks libertarians hate the poor. Well, if you ask most libertarians, well, what are you going to do about the healthcare system? Who ever asked a question like that? Hey, why do you hate the poor? Oh, they do all the time. I know, though. It's funny. But it's because, you know, let's say you don't ask that question. Let's say you ask, you know, what are you going to do about the homeless? The typical libertarian will say, well, they could just get a job like everybody else, right? And which is basically, we don't give a fuck about you. Right. Whereas what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually say, okay, look, I understand we don't want the government to rob people to create these programs that don't work to try to help the homeless and ultimately create more homeless. I don't want that. But at the same time, I recognize there is a problem, and I might not have an obligation to do anything about that problem, but I do have a responsibility and ability to respond, to actually do something about it voluntarily, to say, hey, this is a problem. I don't like seeing people sleeping on the street. What can I do, especially when we're talking about government policy, especially when we're talking about a libertarian government policy that's actually going to help these people? And there are so many ways. I mean, when you talk about eliminating property tax alone, how many people have been dragged out of their house by the government? Oh, you didn't pay your property tax, but I paid off this entire house. It's mine. It doesn't matter. You owe $600 in property tax, but I lost my job and I don't have any money. It doesn't matter. You're behind on your property tax. You're homeless now, and you've got absolutely nothing. We just took your entire house. We auctioned it. You get nothing. Sorry. That's what the government does. So you eliminate that property tax. You eliminate the ability for the government to steal your house. That's it. I mean, that's a big part of it. The whole reason there's a property tax is because they want to steal your house. Because it's not because, oops, we had a property tax in there. We didn't know we're the government. It's because the banks and on Wall Street, so Wall Street owns, you know, and then they want to repossess your house so they can sell it on the market again. They don't give a shit about you. So, like, that's the thing, is that the property tax, if you look at the entire country, and it varies by state, but property tax across the entire country only makes about 1% of all the tax collected. If you get rid of the property tax, it's not like it would deliver a devastating blow to our already ridiculously overspent budget. Okay, so I have so you're running for governors. So you're running for governor of Texas. So I have to give you a few honest to God, tough, hard-hitting questions. Even though you're my friend, Dan. I have to know these answers, okay? Okay, well, basically, if you were the governor of Texas, what would you do about the border crisis, Dan? Ooh, well, what would you do? What would you do, bro? There's quite a few things. So cantaloupe calves, coyotes. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah, well, okay. So first of all, legalizing sex work They're bringing drugs. They're rapists. Sorry.
They should be bringing in more drugs, as a matter of fact. They should be bringing in drugs like insulin, which is actually a drug that I've been smuggling from Mexico to Texas, which is part of another big problem, which is the FDA and the government regulation and everything. They say, oh, they're bringing in drugs, and it's like, yeah, but it's not like they're forcing people to buy drugs. People are going to buy drugs, and I believe in ending the drug war. And I don't support all drugs that are out there. Some of them I do support. Hey, those are fun, especially if you're young. You want to try them out. Okay, fine. It's not turning into a whole lifelong disaster. Some people are going to go harder, and some bad things are going to happen, but that's their personal choice, and they should be able to get help without worrying about going to jail. How many times has somebody overdosed and they're like, I don't want to go to the hospital, man. We're gonna get arrested.
My question was, what would you do about the border crisis, though, Dan?
But these are all related. This is all related.
Okay.
So this is okay. What is the border crisis, right? Okay, we've got human trafficking. What does human trafficking mean, right? We've got people who are literally being abducted and transported all over the place, right? That's human trafficking. Yes. But there is this assumption that anybody involved in sex work, so whether they're the massage parlors or escort services or any of these other things, there's a presumption that those people are being sex trafficked, right? We've been taught that this is the same thing. The reality is,
who's presuming that?
A lot of people.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's actually a movement. They say what is it? They say all prostitution is sex trafficking. Who says this? They push this narrative, which is totally wrong. But the reality is, so imagine you're a John and you're like, hey, I'm interested in visiting a prostitute, an escort, whatever. How do you know? Because you can't just ask, right? How do you know if this person is being sex trafficked across the border or not? You can't even ask. Because they don't want to answer the questions, because if they do, you've got a pimp to worry about. They're going to beat me. I can't have these kinds of conversations. There's all this secrecy around it, because even the people who are there voluntarily, it's a black market. And so, they're afraid of the police. Even if they're not being sex trafficked, they're afraid of anything that might involve the police. And so this becomes a very scary proposition to even try to find out, let's say you're into what do they call it? Ethically sourced diamonds, right? I want to know that these aren't blood diamonds, right? You can ask, you can try to find out, because diamonds aren't illegal. But when it comes to sex work, you can't really ask these questions, because this is a black market. This is all illegal, and everything is suspicious. Even when the people are there consensually. So this is actually a big part of it, and this affects a lot of the border situation. But there's so much, all of this tension across the border. A lot of this has to do with trade wars, trade restrictions, and all these other things. You solve all these problems, and the tension of the border and the economic pressure between that imaginary line. I mean, I used to live in McAllen for a while, right on the border. And it's how do you cross an imaginary line? And you've got people with really huge houses, 3,000 square foot houses, marble, everything. And then you cross an imaginary line, and all of a sudden people are living in brick buildings that aren't even completed, with dirt on the ground. And that's where they live. How is that possible? And it's what's the difference? What's the difference on one side of the line and the other? The only difference is the government.
So I agree with you on all of that, Dan. I agree with you that the imperialist policies of us stealing, territory from Mexico in the Mexican-American War caused a problem. I get that the cartels are causing problems. I get that the drug war is causing problems. I get that the human trafficking is causing problems. But my question is, what would your executive action as governor
eliminate those black markets?
To eliminate these problems.
Eliminate those black markets.
How would you do that?
You legalize sex work. You end the drug war. You legalize drugs, and then there's no market for that. Right now, a lot of these cartels are switching from drugs to avocados.
Why?
Because drugs are legal to grow in the U.S. now, or even illegal drugs. Yeah, there's so much weed being grown in the U.S. that
you're talking about weed.
Yeah,
weed isn't a drug. I don't even understand as a plant.
True, but meth used to come across the border. Now a lot of it's being made here. Cocaine is really the only one that I think they're still importing, because you need lots of big farms to grow that. But there's there's not as high of a demand for that because everyone's just using weed because it's there and it's legal. So these guys are losing money. What else can we do? Avocados. So now, because there was, I think it was a few years ago, there was like an avocado shortage. Like California was like, I don't know, it had something to do with because California couldn't make enough avocados or they had a drought or something. This is real, man.
I know, I get it. It's hilarious too. But I'm trying to write down. I'm trying to write down your answers, so when you're running for governor, I can make sure that you're staying on your platform.
And the drug war.
So you would legal as the governor. Can you end the drug war as the governor of Texas? What's the power of the governor?
In a way. So most drugs are illegal on two levels. They're federally illegal and they're illegal at the state level, right? So most people who get caught with possession, they're charged with the state crime. For the most part, they're not charged with the federal crime. But the federal drugs,
and that's a felony, and that's a federal crime, right?
Right.
Or heroin.
No, I mean, so you got the
drugs are federal crimes. They're felonies. I know this from experience.
Felony and federal is not the same. So you can have a state felony charge. But yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Right. So there's a lot of things. One is with the governor's support, you can change legislation, which means you can get rid of all these laws interfering with it. You can do things like pardons to eliminate the all the records. I mean, because it's not bad enough you get arrested and you spend a little bit of time in jail, but now you come out and like even if it was like a couple ounces and you got a felony charge, it's going to be really hard to find employment. So we need to not only get people out of prison, but we need to clean up their records from nonviolent drug convictions. So a lot of this stuff a lot of the stuff we can do. And a lot of the things too, like you hear people say, oh yeah, when I'm president, I'm going to do this. And it's not necessarily that it's going to be executive order carte blanche. There is a lot of working with the legislature and making a lot of these things happen. But at the same time, I mean, executive orders, you can issue executive orders that drug crimes will not be charged or will not be prosecuted. And whether or not those are followed is a little loosey-goosey because the district attorneys are elected. So, but you can put pressure on them. There's political pressure. Yes, district attorneys are elected. So the state prosecutors. The sheriffs as well. Police departments work under the jurisdiction of the sheriff, which is interesting and not a whole lot of people know. One thing I would really like to see is to completely eliminate the police. We hear people defund the police, all this kind of stuff. Get rid of the police completely. And like, that sounds absolutely batshit crazy, right? But here's the thing. You got two different types of law enforcement. You have the sheriff and you have the police. And most people don't understand the difference between the two. But the most important one is that when the police do something wrong, they're basically employees of a corporation. And so you can't sue them. There's no liability. There's no protection to the citizens against all the things that they do wrong. But there is with the sheriff. You don't elect in most places. You do not elect your chief of police. They're appointed by the mayor. And it's like, well, would you like the mayor? Yeah, I don't know. Extra steps, right? But a sheriff is elected directly. And not only that, every agent, every deputy that works for the sheriff is anything that they do within the law and within what they're instructed by the sheriff himself. They make the sheriff personally responsible, personally liable for that. When it comes to police, it's like police. It's just like a corporation. There's all this limited liability. There's all these protections that they have. We hear about the immunity that they have and everything else. This is all from the structure of the police. And when you look at sheriffs, they just don't have that. So if you get rid of the police and put the power back in the hands of the sheriff, you'll actually see a lot more accountability within law enforcement. I think that's super, super, super important.
Well, I like that. I like those. See, those are solid points. So eliminate police. Guys, by the way, we have a chat open. You want to talk to Dan about any of these things? If you have any questions, you don't have to smear him and say he was Ayn Rand. You can ask him right now what he means by these things, okay? I'm just encouraging you guys to have a conversation. No smears, no Rachel Maddow, CIA talking points. Let's just have a conversation. Because I like, first of all, you and I are both, we were having this conversation the other day. I'm a progressive, you're a libertarian. We both hate the police. Different reasons, but really the same.
Mostly the same.
I mean, they were patty rollers. They took my people back to their fucking masters, asked for their papers, and then they progressed to keep the wealth, protect the wealth of the elites, and now they are doing that again with all of us, and nobody's a slave anymore, thanks to the 13th Amendment. But we are all felons because of drug charges, and we all are. There's a caste system because of the economic disparities. So they've made it literally a sharecropper's land by economic default. But it's a free country, though.
Yeah.
So I like what you
debt is another big one, like slavery by debt. I mean, that's the thing, right? Because what is the purpose of slavery, really? It's not to like say, oh, I have a cage full of 100 people. Isn't that amazing? No, it's to say, oh, I have 100 people laboring on my farms and I'm extracting their labor for free. That's the real purpose of it, right? So what is debt?
Exactly.
What is debt? Oh, well, I work 60 hours a week. Why? Because you're trying to pay off your debt. You're trying to pay for this ridiculously high cost of living, which mostly comes from government. So if you could get rid of all this high cost of living that government creates, all this debt that government creates, you'd be spending a lot less time working and actually enjoying your life. That's where the real slavery comes from. That's like, it's slavery without the shackles, literally. They're forcing us to work when there's really no sense to it.
Another thing we agree about. So, as you were talking about your executive orders or your gubernatorial orders to influence legislation on legalization of drugs, and by the way, I have two questions on that, because if you're a libertarian governor, then you're going to have Democrats and Republicans that don't like you very much and want to maintain their power and want your power. So how are you going to exercise political leverage on a Texas legislature full of corrupt Democrats and Republicans like Ted Cruz?
That's a great question.
I mean, he's the senator, but they're all you've been to Austin. They're all Ted Cruz.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it's true, because most of the people who decide to get involved, especially with those two parties, and get elected are, this is their career choice, right? I'm a software engineer. That's what I do I have my job. That's where my income comes from. For these people, this is their job. Oh, I want to be a politician. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to make all these special deals and become a billionaire. That's what they do. That's their incentive and their motivation. It's not, they don't care about the people. That's their job. That's make as much money as you possibly can. But so in dealing with those people, this is one of the most important things. And this is what I think a lot of libertarians fail to realize is when the only time a libertarian is going to get elected is when they have a massive amount of public support for the policies that they want to implement. That's the only time it's going to happen. And when that happens, and it hasn't happened in the past, I mean, in small localities, you've got libertarians who've been elected to very small positions, and maybe in like these small towns, they do have a lot of people who sympathize with the libertarian philosophy, and that's great. But statewide, that doesn't affect anything, right? Because for the most part, most of the state believes more government is going to solve all our problems, because that's what's been shoved down our throat all our lives. And so when a libertarian can get elected to a statewide position, it is only because a massive amount of the state has finally realized the government is the problem, and a lot of these policies that this crazy libertarian has been talking about actually sound feasible and responsible, and we want to make this happen. And when you have that support of the people, it doesn't matter how many Democrats and Republicans are in office. This is kind of the breaking point where people are like, hey, the law is on the bill is on the table. Pass that motherfucker, or you are out of here. We will tar and feather your ass. That's the point we need to get it to. And of course, I don't recommend the violence of tarring and feathering. Those politicians are snowflakes. But
literally, we should treat them as traitors. We really should.
Right.
They are traitors.
I mean, at least
traitors to our country.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Let's just be realistic for a second. So they lied us into a war, killing millions of people, thousands of our brothers and sisters overseas, thousands of people in the Middle East. They lied us into war. I mean, God, they are literal traitors of our country.
Yeah.
But you're the problem with your newfangled third. You're gonna do a third
it's
party. You're gonna. There's a spoiler. You're helping Joe Biden. You're helping Joe Biden. Did you know that?
Yeah. I voted 3 times. Once for the Libertarian, once was for Joe Biden by voting for a Libertarian, and once was for Donald Trump by voting Libertarian.
These people.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Stupid.
I
know it is nonsense.
Because a lot of people come to me and they're like, yeah, I don't support voting because you're actually giving power to the state when you do that. Which I don't necessarily agree with that argument, but I do agree that voting is not necessarily going to be the end game, right? Like it's not going to be about it's not necessarily about voting, because you can get out there and you can vote as hard as you want, especially in a libertarian direction. But the reality is, the people who are willing to do that at this point are so few. We really need a massive change in the thought process. It's not like oh, I'm just going to go I'm going to go give a bunch of people a bunch of rhetoric. I'm going to go pander as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to get enough votes to win as a libertarian. That's not going to happen, and that's not going to change anything, because if I did that, let's say I get those votes, let's say I get elected, but I had to lie to everybody to get there, they're going to say, okay, yeah, so now where are all these Democrat and Republican type programs that you promised? And I'm like, no, I was just kidding. I'm really a libertarian, and I'm going to do all these other things that are like, it doesn't matter whether they work or not. They're going to be so mad that it's just not going to fly. And of course,
that's what happened to Trump. That's literally what happened to Trump, by the way. Literally what you just said.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was the Dominion machines. Literally, the guy said he was going to take care of everyone with healthcare. He's going to get out of the wars. He was going to China's killing us. Literally, China's still killing us. We're still in 8 wars overseas.
I love the Chinese.
Goddamn thing. He didn't do a goddamn thing.
He loved China.
Talked a good talk.
He
didn't walk anywhere. He didn't walk it. He didn't walk it any goddamn walk.
I'm going to protect your gun rights by banning bump stocks.
And this is important, by the way, Dan, because there's going to come a time where hopefully we are going to be tired of this same old bullshit where we're slaves and sharecroppers in a free country. And we're going to make the choice, just like we did with Trump. Because, the Democrats made the first choice. Either you have the guy who wants to give you a living wage and healthcare, or you can have the woman who literally overthrew Libya and wrote emails about it and then tried to fucking rig the primaries. Like, literally, she was so disgusting. She was so corrupt. In our horror, we turned to Donald Trump, a game show host. So someday, it's going to come that time where we're going to turn our attention to the Libertarian Party. And you libertarians have a few things in your principles that I'm just wondering how you're going to deal with this, because there's a filibuster, there's all these things that are in the Constitution, and the executive orders. By the way, are those how are those according to your libertarian principles? How are executive orders jiving according to your libertarian principles? You understand what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
Question I'm asking?
Well, I want to draw a line in the sand too about between my principles and libertarian principles, because like you said before, I disagree with a lot of libertarians on a lot of things. But my philosophy on executive orders is executive orders are perfectly legal. Executive orders are but here's the catch. Executive orders, well, I shouldn't say they're perfectly legal. It's perfectly legal to create an executive order, as long as that executive order fits within what the president or the executive is allowed to order. But secondly, an executive order only applies.
That's politics, Dan. That's politics right there. I mean, that could be interpreted anything. Anyway, any fucking way.
Yeah, unfortunately, the executive order only applies to people who work for the executive. So when the executive of the state of Texas says, here's an executive order that you all have to wear masks, that means absolutely nothing to me, because I don't work for you. You can issue an executive order to wear masks. I don't care. That you're basically, what an executive order is as the executive, I'm telling all of my employees and subordinates to follow this order, which is to wear a mask. And if the governor says, I want all state employees to wear masks, that's fine, right? The problem comes when he says everybody, and legally that everybody just means the state employees. But what most people hear, what the news hears, what all the poolside patties hear is everybody. And so
everybody.
Exactly. So they start thinking, oh, everybody. The executive order says everybody. And it's like, yeah, but that's not really what everybody means. Like,
Right.
it doesn't mean everybody in Nevada, if it's a Texas executive order, obviously, right? So we understand there's some degree of limited scope, but there's an assumption that it just means, okay, well, that means everybody in Texas then. Really? Where does it say that? Where do you get that from? The reality is it only applies to those employees. So if, for example, let's say there's an executive order that says nobody's allowed to own a certain type of gun. Okay, that executive order only applies to government employees. That doesn't apply to private citizens because the executive cannot just write laws like that. So I think there's like a really big misunderstanding about what executive orders are and how they're written and what they mean and what the scope of them is and how they apply. And I think that's really important to understand. So executive orders are like, they can actually be a really great tool. And as a libertarian issuing executive orders, usually what happens is you've got the Democrats and Republicans, their executive orders are going to be like, hey, police, go do more of this and that, go cause more problems. Whereas libertarians are going to be like, executive orders, nobody's allowed to arrest anybody for weed anymore. So less government, so less problems. And I think that's a really important distinction.
Okay, so let's just go to, we're running out of time, so let's just go down the list of, I want to get a list of things. No, you're good. You're good. You're amazing, Dan. But if I was Rachel Maddow, I would say that you were perturbing the press. I don't know what these guys. Have you ever watched the mainstream media, guys? Every time I turn it on, they're super weirded out. They're back in 1952, and all of a sudden, Trump's a Kremlin puppet. He's getting pissed on, and the Russians are literally they're the ones who decide everything. It's weird. I mean, literally.
I try to avoid that.
What do you think about mainstream media? What do you think about that?
I really, honestly, I avoid it like the plague. I mean, I know, like, about Operation Mockingbird, right?
Yes, I do. Of course I do.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, oh no, that was just a program in the 70s. No, it's still a thing. Where do these people get their news from? Oh, the president did X, Y, Z. Are they snooping on the president? No, the president is issuing press releases and the media is just reading them. That's how that whole system works. It's a racket. The entire media.
It's a big club. You ain't in it.
Yeah. Like, such and such happened in Syria. Really? Were you there? Or did you just read that off the White House press release?
You know what's funny?
I mean, think about it.
Is that literally Tulsi Gabbard, she went to Syria to find out what exactly. She went on a fact-finding mission, and she caught them red-handed, arming rebels, and literally, she was Assad apologist. So it doesn't, it's crazy how when you actually want to find out the truth, then when you find the truth out, then you get smeared. Now you're just doing podcasts on Joe Rogan. You're not even a fucking congressman. So I'm sorry. I love Tulsi Gabbard. What do you think about what happened to her? And then we'll talk about the issues.
Yeah, no, I think so. What, you mean how she got screwed out of the election?
She wasn't just screwed out of the elections. She literally was. She was a message. She was like the Walk of Atonement in a Game of Thrones. Shame, Cersei Lannister going naked through King's Landing. That was a lesson to AOC. That was a lesson to anyone who wanted to question the Democratic establishment of what we will do to you if you ever get out of line. Yeah, that was literally. She was literally a message. So
yeah, I didn't follow too closely with that kind of stuff because I really, even within the Libertarian Party, that shit goes on. I'm walking that line with them right now. There's a lot of libertarians who don't like me, and I'm not really big on like playing fucking party politics and everything. I know. But, I know you're not. I do like a lot of the stuff Tulsi had to say. Honestly, look, if you were to look at who really won that, not that I'm a huge Bernie Sanders fan, but he would have won that primary. Like, he had all the public support. The only way Biden won is because that primary was rigged.
Literally, he was ahead, and Whoopi Goldberg on The View was asking him when he was going to drop out. And then Meghan McCain was having a fucking fit. And everybody watches ABC News, and that's really what did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that thing? The placebo effect. The placebo effect, bro. Yeah. You tell people it's not a good thing, or you stand in line to a fucking concert, you get a whole bunch of people. Oh, it's a really happening concert, right? Because of effects. That's really what it is, bro. And then people literally turn off.
The club when there's nobody inside.
Exactly, bro. That's literally what our country does, and that's what the mainstream media does.
It's nuts. It's nuts. it sucks, but like what I think is probably the most difficult thing in this process is, so we have our elections every 4 years, and what's going to happen is you have a lot of first-time voters now who supported, you know, one candidate and the most popular candidates, and now they're like, oh man, this whole system sucks, it's broken, like that's screwed up, you know, this person should have won, that person should have won. And so a lot of people are just like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to vote anymore because this thing is stupid, right?
Yeah,
and in 4 years, you're going to have the next generation of like 18 to 20-year-olds just coming out of college voting for the first time and thinking, oh, we support this one person, they're amazing, and then the election's rigged again and they lose. And so now you have this constant system of like, okay, we're getting young people who really excited about things they don't understand, then we're screwing them out, and then so like once they get older and smarter, they're not even into voting anymore. So now we just have young stupid people voting.
I mean,
young people.
Everybody's had their Obama, you know, when he was hoping change, and
I voted for Obama the first time.
I didn't stop voting. I decided to take care of the problem. I think literally, really, Dan, it's all about like your attitude, and if you're gonna really try to change your behavior, or try to change things, or if you're just gonna let it go along to get along. Like it's really. Do you think philosophically? Do you think that there's like a really fundamental difference? Like there's people in the world that some of them are just destined to be, you know, the fish in the ocean. Some of them are destined to be the shark. What do you think about that? The predestination.
Yeah, I think that's true. But at the same time, you know, I think it's true to some degree, right? But at the same time, it's immoral to, you know, turn a shark into a fish by lying to it, and, you know, taking opportunities away from it, and then just, you know, like, oh yeah, no, you're safe here, we're taking care of you, and then they just get slaughtered. You know, that's fraud. This is like, you know, even like if everybody's a shark, right? It's understood, sharks among sharks, you know, that we don't steal from each other, we don't kill each other, we don't lie to each other. These are like the basic these are common law felonies, right? This is like the 10 commandments of like man's like well-developed cultural law that we've developed like over centuries of different governments and experiments, right? This is our common law felonies, and in that is fraud. And so, you know, yeah, you can convince somebody that they're a fish by saying, oh no, you don't have a right to do this, and no, you have to follow all the rules and all this other stuff. And it's like, yes, some people have a kind of a different energy about them, how active they're going to be at going out and seeking and achieving their goals. But if they completely misunderstand the rules of society that we live in because they've been brainwashed through fraud, they've been told lies all their lives, then that's completely immoral. You know, yes, I believe some people are going to be overachievers. Some people are going to have more. Some people are going to have bigger houses, fancier cars, and all this other stuff, and that's fine. But, you know, to say, oh, well, you're not part of the 1%, and therefore you're going to live your entire life in debt because we say so, and you're going to be, you know, forced to be dependent on all these programs because that's where we want you to be, is completely immoral.
I believe that too. So I don't get it. So do you believe in predestination or not? You always take my question and you take it one step further to the fact that I'm thinking about other things, but I'm like, did you answer my question?
See, this is the thing, man. You remember the Y2K bug?
Yeah. I
was always like, what fucking idiot would come up with like an entire system dependent on just two numbers? They weren't thinking far enough ahead on that, really? So yeah,
I mean, could you see Bill Gates thinking far enough ahead of that stuff like that? I mean, really, all he wanted to do was like fucking buy a sandwich and maybe some pants, maybe some pants that fit. He literally was a loser. He was a fucking loser.
Yeah, no, that guy was an idiot. But yeah, it's like this is what. And here's an interesting thing. I'm a software engineer, and I actually interview people because we're hiring more engineers, and I have to interview people, and I put them through code exam tests, and like I give them a problem, and they're supposed to solve it, and I see how they think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, it makes me squirm because I know I'm kind of I'm what they call a unicorn in the industry, because the stuff I know is like, yeah, it's like, oh, you know all this stuff? Yeah, oh, well, he's a unicorn. Because usually you find somebody who's specialized in one or two things, and then you get like a group of different people. And yeah, so I fit into the unicorn category sometimes. But so I interview people, and it's really difficult sometimes because I'm like, okay, they might understand the language, but their problem solving is not that great. Their thinking ahead is not that great, that sort of thing. So, but anyways, you totally, like, I'm just responding to like you blaming me for going off in a totally different tangent, which I responded to. Which I responded to by going off in another tangent.
Yeah, I know. You're just very nuanced, and then I have to be like, did he answer my question? Because that's what I have to.
No. Okay. Sure. So now I don't even know what the question was. So go back to the first question.
So
the last question,
Dan. So here's the deal, buddy. Look fat. You ain't black. I don't forget the questions because it's Saturday and we're not taking a test, okay? But what I want to do now is I want to go through a lightning round of all the political issues, and I want to play. We're gonna play a little game.
I hate lightning rounds.
In 5 words, give me 5 words of what you think about what. What do you need more? You need more words?
No. I mean, no.
Don't you have the best words? Don't you have the best words, Dan? Very good ratings, Dan.
They're the best, but they're numerous. I'll give it my best shot to stay within 5.
Oh, this is gonna be like every time you come on the show from now on, we're gonna play some games. I know, bro. Every time you come on the show, we're gonna play some games. I actually had 2 games planned, but we had some good discussion because I really wanted to know what a libertarian would do in certain. So this is good, bro. You should just come on the show more, okay? Especially when you become a governor and you need a press secretary. Who's the guy that's gonna keep these press fucking ruffians in track? Me. Tommy Nation Politics.
Yeah, man. I'll give you an office in the wherever that is.
By the way, this is not quid pro quo. It's not quid pro quo. Okay, guys. So, are we ready for the lightning round? Dad, are you ready for
I'm as ready as I'm
the issues in 5 words or less?
5.
Okay, start the music. So, we got Derek Chauvin trial. What do you think? 5 words or less?
What a piece of shit.
What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Did you come up with that? Did you already do that?
No, that was just kind of that's just kind of the gut reaction I have when I hear his name.
Joe Biden infrastructure bill spending.
Does he even know what a road is?
He can ride the trains in Delaware, though. All right. Matt Gaetz, 17-year-old minor sex trafficker on Venmo. What do you think about that? You heard about that shit?
No.
Yeah, so Matt Gaetz, he Venmo'd a sex trafficker on Venmo, and he got a 17-year-old prostitute. Now he's saying he doesn't know how Venmo works. What?
Well, legalize sex work and you'll be able to fix a lot of these problems.
Legalize sex working. I'll go with legalize sex working. That's what we'll go with. Okay.
Yeah.
She's 17 though. Is that a problem?
Yeah, but you'll have places that won't allow 17-year-olds because it's legal, and then it's not like all black market.
Okay, and how about Russians interfering with our election and undermining our democracy?
We have a bigger problem with our own government doing it. That was more than 5. That was way more than 5.
That was more than 5. I'm sorry.
Our own government is worse. There we go.
Our own government is worse. That is correct. Ding, ding, ding. New York has legalized marijuana, making it the 15th state to legalize marijuana recreationally. 5 words or less, Mr. Behrman.
About damn time. But not good enough.
See, you're getting good at this shit. Okay, so I like it. I think that was all the shit in the news. Yeah, anything else going on?
The abridged version. Oh man.
I don't think so.
Yeah, can I make a plug?
Hell yeah, you can. Here, let me turn off this annoying music, bro. Hold on real quick.
Go check out nugofknowledge.com. We got 50 state legal weed that we're selling, and we're using it to raise money for cannabis reform. So we're actually using the money that we raise to help legalize cannabis across the country, and actually reform the whole system, get people out of jail. We donate a lot of our profits to other organizations to raise awareness. FIJA, the Fully Informed Jury Association, so we teach people about jury nullification so we can get people to stop going to jail for cannabis arrests, and that sort of thing. Because even in the places where it's legal, if you have more than a couple ounces, it's still a felony. It's bullshit. So we still got a long way to go.
I think that was a really good, that's a really good cause. You also have a podcast. You're doing your podcast? You
yeah.
That?
Taxationistheft.info. If you we're on YouTube, youtube.com/taxationistheft, or anywhere you get your favorite podcast, you go to just search for Taxation is Theft. You'll see a big black and yellow, looks kind of like this hat. I don't even know, I can't control my head. But yeah, it's we talk about all the ways the government's ripping you off and what you can do about it, and we talk about really understanding the tax law. I haven't paid anything. I haven't paid a penny to the IRS in a few years now, because I finally understood how the tax code works, and most Americans aren't supposed to be paying it. So
yeah, we had a really intricate conversation about that the last time you were on.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, the last question for me is, as far as the governor race gearing up, like when are you like officially running for governor? I don't even know. The midterms are coming up. Is the gubernatorial election coming up for Abbott?
So no. Well, okay. So the actual election is going to be November 2022. We have a primary coming up in the Libertarian Party, which is going to be, I believe, April or May 2022. So we still got a long way to go. I am on my way to Austin next week. Actually, I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling, but on the 24th at the Metro Park in Austin, we're having a rally. It's a unity rally, so everybody's invited. We've actually invited Black Lives Matter, some of the LGBT organizations. The Boogaloo is going to be there. It's literally like for everybody, and we're trying to really build bridges and cross those lines, because they want to keep us divided. Like you said, they want to keep us divided. And
they do.
Once we start realizing, hey, we're not each other's enemy, and we can work together, we can actually get a lot of these problems solved, and get rid of all this corruption that's robbing us blind. So that's going to be a really awesome rally.
Do you know your enemy? Do you know your enemy? You got to know your enemy. Away. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, we had a good show. Thanks for the conversation, bro. And I'm always in your corner, bro.
Anytime.
Tommy Nation Politics is always in your corner, bro. Yeah, bro. This was Dan, Taxation is Theft Behrman. Check his podcast out on Spotify, or where is your podcast at anyway?
I think it's on Spotify. It's like it's in like everywhere where you go for podcasts. I don't know how the internet works. I barely figured out how to turn this thing on. I'm a software engineer, by the way. Yeah, it's everywhere though.
Like Bill Gates, nanobytes. Okay, so I guess the final message is we got to keep on talking to our fellow countrymen. We can't be divided.
Right.
We have to make sure that we don't polarize ourselves. We have to love our neighbors as ourselves, guys. We have to understand, understand our enemies. We have to be as meek as doves, but as shrewd as serpents. Any last words for you, Dan? Because I think I'm just about fucked down.
I want to keep rolling with that. We have to have these conversations with people who think differently from us, because I like to say we have to assume that everything we know is wrong. And we have to have conversations and question our own beliefs, because if we don't, there's a very good chance we believe something that's completely wrong or absolutely stupid, and we're never going to realize it because we think we're right. We have to question everything, and that includes ourselves. Of course, question authority, but talk to people and learn from people, especially people who think differently. Don't lock yourself in an echo chamber with everybody who believes all the same stuff as you, because that's not how we learn and grow. And the whole point of this life, I think, is to learn and grow and become our better selves.
Nice, Dan. Dan, I think that is actually the perfect way to be free-thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. This is Tommy Nation Politics, guys. Look at the muscles on you. Well met.